present talking about the finance, how to structure the finance, and what is the easy of doing business, getting a finance. All talk about few things was that fund is available, but is it going to get by the private people very so easily? That's a real challenge. Somebody's talked about that 70% of our this business doing through private and government doing only 30%. Then why we are not going and getting a funds for 70% business people to do that? That's the questions, right? So many of us talked about climate in twofold. One, we talked about mobility, we talked about energy. One thing also we are missing is that Jal Hi Jeevan, that's in water. Water is a big issue for worldwide, including India. And I think many of us knows that some of the states are going through a lot of water crisis. Some of the cities of drinking water crisis. Why it is happening? Is it we don't know, or we know? From the World Bank, there are projects where they have lots of money. I think 50,000 crores as pushing to that mobility areas. I have working with the financial institutes where we investing huge money on the bonds. So there are a lot of structural way of getting finance. And to do that finance, what a banker's looking for? Banker looking for something, trust, data, and the project viability. So banker is always looking for some kind of a earnings. Earning is not like you are giving a money back or interest. No. Banker is looking for, is that government agencies or government federal is giving me return as a tax-free, or it's a sovereign guarantee, or how I've been going to get a risk factor to be analyzed over here. So that's the real challenge we are facing across the place, across the countries. Specifically development countries like India, we have gap of more than $70 billion every year. And our institutions within India, how many of us, we talked about a book saying that 10% of my allocation of fund is going to be green energy or mobility or water climate projects, but is it going? Who is being monitoring that? Even government is giving a lot of funds to mobility sectors, but whether we have been able to real sense, because there is no data in terms of coming back. My fellow panelists talked about AI data. I don't know how many companies are talking about when you are saying that, is it carbon credit I'm available going to get the carbon credit, but on what basis? Is there any some kind of a data point which can give that financier can get a comfortable place and create a trust among them so that they can finance it? Today I'll talk about the solutions, not the problem. I just hear about, or I just talked about few problems. The solution is that there are two ways we look at it. One is that the receiver point and giving point, and enabler is government. So we have a policies defined. India has already defined a policies. We may need to tweak and stabilize those policies some of the places. I'm looking at a exemplary of like an entrepreneurs. See, the country where Viksit Bharat we are talking about to go to the global stage, we are talking about 5 trillion economy. I think the investors is looking the entrepreneurship journey who are young people coming in this country and investing on those climate projects, how we are financing them. What is the ecosystems we can build over there? One ecosystem is that government policies mandate that if such kind of projects is coming, our financial institutes structure it as such that they are getting finance, and as a bond, government or municipality of that projects giving some kind of a bond and assuring to do that. That's one way of looking at vehicle. Second, if the private agency is investing and we get some kind of a grant which available from the World Bank, IMF or any other institutions, how local agency could help that to get that bond or get that grant to start the projects. Third is that structure. Like we do a lot of small structure. If I can give you one example is like when I'm investing in projects, I saw small solar panel wants to put, and the finance is need for $1 million or which is 8 crore or 10 crores. But financial institute looking that if you get integrated like aggregators which can talk about I need a finance of $2 billion or 10,000 crores for entering doing 1,000 projects or 100 projects in that states or vicinity, that makes sense to the financial institutes. So overall, my conclusions over here is that 3-point talks we should talk about. One is aggregating that what projects we are doing, how viable that project is to define it. Second, we talk about assets. Is that assets is really utilized to get the climate or generating, lowering the carbon, or it is sustaining for us. Third, we are talking about that the structuring that finance and how we are returning back as a tax benefits, as a bond benefits, or as a return of investment you are getting for long-term time. So these are the few areas I think I have faced it. In India's economy, we are growing very fast, and there are fast growing have a lot of challenges. One is that we are not understanding that which area is, what is carbon credit we don't know, what is green bond we don't know, what is sovereignty green bond we don't know. So that education's the way we need to do among industry and within the government agencies or government institutions. You need to be as a training. I think ease of business is one of the forum is here, which we are just talking about. We want to translate this forum to executionable event. That is more important. I think it's all of us need to be contribute. See, climate and all those problems we just talked about, it's not only our problem, it's a across the world problem. It's also futuristic problem for the entire earth. So how we want to save next 30 years, and you have to think now. And I think it's the beginning of something we are talking about long time, and execution should be started very immediately. That's I feel so.